Yes, so today we'll talk about the challenges that people face in retail industry.
Yes. So I think we must have like spoken about some issues out of all our
Yeah,
experiences.
we
Um, but
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
we can maybe like try to categorize it for the listeners, how to
yeah, we can.
the kind of challenges that at some point or the other you will face if you're working in the retail industry. From I think from the conversation we were having uh, before this, I have usually like the big challenges, like everyday recurring challenges for us in the buying and merchandising team was always about something related to supply chain, our deliveries getting delayed, or in India, I remember that when our merchandise would travel from one state to another, if the paperwork wasn't right, because every state had a different tax, so we had to
Yes,
ensure that
state.
that paper works. Yeah. So if the expected delivery into the warehouse was a certain day, we had to literally keep a check on where our trucks were. I remember
Right.
like
If
yeah.
that's there, still there, even though there is GST has come. GST actually, they had told that they will reduce this chaos.
Yeah.
Still, there is a statewide. If you take from any goods from another state,
Mm-hmm.
then still that complexity is there, and that goes on. That is more so for even online retailers, because where your centralized distribution network, and then where your own factory, and like say for example, if you want, even if you think about selling distributing through Amazon, because Amazon has its own delivery, so you can have your goods, you can have your products on Amazon and
Yeah.
give Amazon the rights to deliver. They
Mm-hmm.
buy the Amazon actually delivers much faster than what any other brand does, because they've solved that problem to a greater
Yeah.
degree.
Yeah.
Even then there is because it's a different, if say for example, if Amazon's warehouse is another state, then and then you're manufacturing, there are complexities. That's
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was one, and there could be like multiple reasons for delivery issues. So one was when I was in Bombay with West Side, usually with West Side and even with Wellspun, I remember there was we had a little collection that we bought from a Delhi vendor who was absolutely new. So you have to like ensure when you onboard a new vendor and you are in the buying team, you have to like make sure that all those deliveries are issues are ironed out in the beginning, like taxes thought of. And the other suppliers were mostly Mumbai based, like they also had warehouses in Thane. That's where usually our warehouse would be. So it was easy for them to move merchandise, but that once I think in Welspun, the delivery was coming from a Delhi vendor who would make handmade pieces, like curated pieces. So I think that I remember was like a big issue. And then what happens is it has like a effect. Uh, your deliveries get delayed. Maybe your call out messages on the shop floor, that new collection in, it makes no sense then. So you have to like work that way. So it affects everything then. With another retailer where we were buying from all around the world, like from different manufacturing countries like China, Hong Kong, Bangladesh. So there would be issues. I'm just trying to think that when we were in Marks and Spencer, there was something had happened with merchandise getting out of Bangladesh, or actually the merchandise that did come out of Bangladesh had the most paperwork. And I think you also said this. So for us, getting merchandise from Hong Kong was quite fast because it would be airshipped, but somehow the paperwork for merchandise that came out of Bangladesh, though we did a lot of basics out of Bangladesh, it would take time. The paperwork
right.
was
Yes.
quite tedious, and yes. So that is one issue that I mean, you can't predict it, that it might delay your plans, and you always have to have like a plan B, that if this doesn't arrive, or just think at that point, make another decision, take another call. Sometimes it means that you delay a collections launch, and whatever's available right now, you launch that instead, if it makes sense in that season. Um, yeah, and then related to that, I we've had another which was also we had to work very closely with the supply chain team, and this has happened with two of the brands that I've worked. One quite recently, and this was moving the warehouse. And moving the warehouse during your trading period is always tricky. So because all the merchandise has to be, you're constantly selling, you need to ensure that your sales is not affected. So you need to keep inventory in the current warehouse so that it can support the trading period, then also transfer the inventory so that it's inverted onto their system, onto the other warehouse. So when you just
Right.
look at it as from a decision making point of view, it seems all simple. But when there are like people on the ground literally picking up pieces and inverting it, scanning the product in, there is always like a little lag. So
Right, that's
in
true.
the yeah,
Yeah.
and in one of the brands, like we did it during Christmas, which is quite a peak season here in UK, and so we had to. It wasn't we had to literally move the inventory for almost 5 to 6 weeks. So the plan was brought in a month prior to the actual final move. And that's what we did. We were like moving bits and pieces of good selling products so that we had availability in both warehouses. We were doing our best sellers first. So there are like certain strategies that you can adopt. You can look at your inventory in a different way. And yeah, then you have to like keep everybody in loop. It is working with the supply chain team then. So those are, I think, issues that everybody faces. Something in manufacturing with a startup, I've seen that uh, the projections, based on projections, we were always out of inventory. We would always run out of certain sizes, and which meant that the production
Yeah. So,
capacity had to be increased. Yeah, those are like certain
mm,
challenges that you would face if you're working with a retailer at any stage. Yeah.
mm. So apart, yeah, so moving the warehouse, also reconciling stock. When you said about moving
Yeah.
warehouse, I just
Yeah.
remembered.
Correct.
So every year you have to reconcile all your stocks to find out whether what's there, if there is any pilferage, whether there is any stock that is being damaged, but then it is there on the system that has to be
Yeah.
considered and kept out, and all of that. So reconciling stock also was considered nightmarish. Yeah, so it
Yeah.
has been a big thing, and then you get to know that when you actually, it's also any kind of a review when you get to know what's really happening at the really in reality. It has been a difficult um, maneuvering the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. I think when you have to transfer stock, we've always relied on the same numbers, the indicators that we were talking of. Anything that had lots of stock, very tiny rate of sales, we just moved it quickly. If there was some seasonal fragmented stock, that was transferred first. But the best sellers and core lines, we did not, we would just transfer like 60% of the stock, not 100%, so that we could still trade. And that meant like we have like a full size representation. So we had to like do the transfers based on sizes, like to that level of detail at an SKU level. And yeah, so I think those are challenges which I feel retailers will face at some given point or time or not. Then there can also be challenges, external challenges. I'm just trying to think, like weather can be one, anything going on in the city could be
Mm.
another. If you've, yeah, like even like what's happening politically or in a country where you ordered stock from, anything could be like an issue. Um,
Yeah.
so external factors also come into play, and right now I think there is a lot around technology. I'm sure like you've also seen that. Though India has a lot of established retailers now coming to the country, um, but the local
Mm-hmm.
market, like more than 80% is still unorganized. I think they don't rely on technology the way the world is evolving and retail is also evolving. They need to have those systems in place, and I think retail is heavily reliant on it.
Yeah, so with respect to technology, I think in India also there is some, even if there is a technology, there's reluctance to use the technology. So there would be big systems like SAP and Oracle and all of those systems are in place, but most of the companies' challenges is that people fail to adhere to the, like in Europe generally everybody believes that technology is there to help them, and then they adhere to the rules. So
Yeah,
here things happen, they do not account, they do not use the technology. So once you do not use it, then the technology, the system is basically garbage in, garbage out. So it starts spinning out bad results, and because it spins out bad results, then people further do not rely on it. So if you see companies like any Europe or a US organization, and then you see the amount of discipline that they have to implement it there and use it on a day-to-day basis, as though it is a must. And then the same brand, same organization, if you see in India, there would be a percentage difference. They wouldn't use it
yeah,
the same way that it has been used in Europe or the US, because here in India, sometimes people do not want that, they do not want to see the truth. They don't want to accept that this is what is happening. So because of that attitude, there is still, people feed in half semi data, and they have like broken system, because I have seen many companies having SAP, but still they have a broken system,
yeah.
simply because at the ground level they do not adhere to it. Say for maybe it could also be a skill issue, but it's also an attitude issue.
Yeah, correct. I think it's also about being in your comfort zone, like what feels comfortable. Like when you think of retail, people think that it's just sales. If the product is good, I think, and we've had a discussion on this, people feel that if the product is good, it will sell. But what about what if nobody knows where your shop is? What if nobody knows about your website? Even you could have the best selling product at the best
Exactly.
competitive price points, but nobody's going to buy. So I think it comes from that mentality as well, that it's just sales and we'll be, if the product is good. And in India, I think local retailers maybe have that advantage because they've placed their shops in locations which are known. But I don't think they're capitalizing on their full potential by not having social media, let's say, or having an online presence, or integrating their systems. And I have worked with big brands where it's not 100% integrated. The data comes out a certain way, and then the systems don't speak to each other. So there are always like Excel sheets being passed around for a new collection. An Excel sheet is sent to the store, which is uploaded on their tills, so that the system can read that stock, and the same in the warehouse. So none of this is, it's not seamless. It is like there's still manual intervention of Excel sheets. And also, when you're placing your purchase order, it's all manually done. It doesn't read like what is the inventory. Ideally, like it should be able to see what the sales was, what the inventory in the warehouse is, and what is it projecting, and then you match it with what you want, and then it does a size ratio.
Yeah.
And once your inventory comes, it updates the OTB. Like that's ideal. Like all your documents have inputs from these systems. But I haven't seen that. And so UK is quite mostly organized retail with a handful of family owned businesses, retailers. I think they're still struggling. I think 10 years ago they were implementing SAP and different business information systems, data warehouses. I think, I don't know how successful they have been. And the way they run their businesses are also different. I think they have to like streamline it to the way it's meant to be done. I think when you start, A business on your own, I think you learn with on the job with experience, but now there's enough good practices to incorporate in your retail organizations. But I
Right.
guess it's also a mindset.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I
It's
remember
also the
that
mindset. Yes.
yeah, in one of the brands, I think they were bringing in, we had like allocators who would manually send. So once your inventory is here, an allocator would allocate the inventory, looking at what was in the warehouse, what is available to us, what is selling well, and they would send the first lot of inventory, and then they would do replenishments. And this was quite common, like allocation was quite a common role, which I feel is probably the first one that might go out, become redundant
Right.
because of systems. And they did have an automatic replenishment system, which had to be again maintained by a person. So it was the allocator who was maintaining the numbers on it. And you could tweak it that you want to send like
Mm.
3 replenishments in a week, or every day, or alternate days. And then you could just put that information on there and it would replenish. But even there, I thought that there was this struggle that you can get the job done quickly if you do it manually instead of like sitting and updating the system. Because sitting and updating the system
Yes.
does
Yes.
take time. Yeah.
It
Though
does
it's
take time
complex in
in
the start.
maybe in a short.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is in the short. If you think very short term, yes, it might take time for the day, but then it is going to give insights, and if the company has to grow and all of that, yeah, then it helps there. So yeah, so that's been the problem. Yes, like so, say for example, if you have to fill a form before a printout has to happen, there are chances that people do not fill the form properly. They do not put the
Yeah.
right information before the invoice printout happens. They might just have shortcuts. They might put something temporarily so that the invoice comes immediately so that you can get to the next work. So there is this impatience that generally people in India that they have when it comes to technology. They just want to get out of it and get doing something rather than being in technology and implementing a system.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always been a struggle here.
I think in India it's also because of resources, Mahesh. Because I remember that there is no concept of data entry people here in the UK. Like none of the companies I've worked with have had a data entry guy, but that was a role in Indian retail where they would assign a person to handle all the big data, put it into meaningful Excel sheets so that the merchandisers could use it. So ideally, like that should be
Right.
done by a system. But over here, it's if you don't have access to clean data, merchandisers would do it themselves. But in India, there were like
Yeah,
people doing this only this role of cleaning up data, putting it into some sense, because sometimes the category
that's
would
true.
not read right, the subcategory would not read right, something would be missing, something, some information, so it had to be
So they
manually
would
put in. You
manually
would be,
kind of.
yeah, then you're
So
like putting
they
VLOOKUPs
manually.
and pivoting, putting pivots. So all that has to get moved
That's
now.
because there are people who can do it, so they don't fix the system.
Yes, correct.
That's
So
true.
and then I think so that's probably another one that updating the, like being abreast with the technology, the change in. But I guess step one is for them to actually have systems which give them reports instead of cleaning up data and making sense out of those data and creating reports from that data. I think the first bit is to get those systems in place. And like I said, lots of retailers still do not have those systems, integrated systems yet. So that's another challenge for the industry. What else is there? I think maybe no presence. This is maybe like a challenge and also an opportunity, that having no social media presence,
Yeah.
which might be true for maybe like smaller businesses, local retailers in India. Yeah. Even if you don't have an e-com
That's true.
website, Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
not sure if
We
it's a
should
challenge or
have a
it's
social
an
media.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, it is an opportunity. People are, they can go in and they can do it. The challenge that they are facing in this is why it's not happening is because retailers do not understand what content does well, right? So people think that if they just put their merchandise, then probably something will happen. And also another thing is that the people feel that how often should I put my content, and they always come to a very underwhelming number. They'll say that I don't want to trouble my customer, or I mean this is the sentence that most um, business owners have told, is that I don't want to be annoying, right? I don't want to post too much, that it is my brand is shown everywhere, that people
Yeah.
feel annoyed, right? So
Yeah.
that I don't know whether this is a very Indian thing or not, because most of the business owners that I have talked to are Indian business owners. They say that we want to be exclusive. I mean, there is nothing exclusive about their brand, to be honest. But then they want that, I don't want to be annoying and all of that. So they'll say that I'll post maybe once in a week or twice a week or something like that. On the contrary, the ideal amount of posts is maybe one minimum a day, or even more than
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
2 or 3 a day is an ideal number. Only then the AI will pick up, and I mean that's the AI job. That's not even our job whether we are annoying or not. If we are really annoying, then the AI in the social media will not show our brand in the first place itself, and we'll get to know that, because if it doesn't show it, we'll get to know with the analytics that whether people saw it, whether people interacted, chatted, commented, and all of that. So it's not for us to decide whether we are annoying or not, but this has been, you talk to any business owner, that this comes out of, I don't want to be annoying. And the ones who understand this and want to be understand that being in front of the customer is a mandatory and is going to be a make or break, they do well. They do well, and the majority come up with the same statement. I don't know how they come with the same word, same statement, that they say that we don't want to be an annoying to the business. I remember that when you guys also started publishing the sari pictures more often, then only then it started picking up, right? Like initially when it was called another brand, and when the merchant when you put less number of pictures in Instagram, it didn't pick up, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
when
I
I don't
think
know
there was
how many pictures did you put how many posts did you
I
put
think
per day?
thousands and thousands of pictures. I think we would post close to it would always be more than like a couple of pictures, so more than two every single day. And then there would be like two different timings. So one, like Shrishti would post from India and then I'm posting from here, so there would be like two different timelines, times of the day that we would post it.
So,
And there would be like clear
pictures a day.
around five, six, seven. We would not limit it. If we had enough in collection to showcase, we would just make sure that it's pushed out from our end. And very quickly we had realized that, at least on social media, it was more visual at that point. So though we were writing descriptions, and we would write a little comment saying that DM us for more details, but we realized that people were not reading. It was more about visuals of what there was. Yeah. And
Yeah,
yeah, so I think we
so
were
two
not like,
pictures at least posted.
yes,
Mhm.
yeah, two, more than two pictures a day. And like I said, like two different
The two
timings.
posts, no, because one post will have many pictures. So it used to be two posts a day. And they were all carousels, right?
Yeah, but I think we would, it wasn't necessary that it would just be one post with lots of pictures. Sometimes if we had like different kinds of saris, we would have like more posts with the different colors
More
as
posts.
other options that you scroll through. Yeah.
Yeah, so those are different pictures in one post. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes, like I say, that
Mm.
sometimes we would have like multiple posts as well.
Yeah, you'll have multiple posts also. Yeah,
So it wasn't
yeah.
just
So
strategy, it was just,
that's something that, yeah, that is something that most business owners do not know, that they have to do more than one post, or at least one post a day. They think that, one post is a week is good and two is aggressive, and they come up,
yeah,
and these datas are not, they came up logically, or they came up from any industry standard. They just came up on their own. These are all like their gut feeling. You ask any e-com or any startup, they would just come up with, and that's why their social media strategy um, hasn't taken off yet.
yeah, yeah, correct. I think, yeah,
Yeah.
so having a social media strategy in today's world is, I think that's important. And I think when we had a discussion with Shrishti and we were discussing roles, I did mention that in my company we had just marketing. It was everything was generic, like sat under marketing. But then they did go ahead and create a digital marketing role, a social media manager. Like there were like specific roles who were doing those. So there was a social media manager who was managing all these marketing events and bits. Um, So yeah, with retail, I think another thing that we've already discussed is Mahesh, managing the inventory. You know, where we spoke about liquidation strategies available to people. I think if you're a part of retail, you are at any given point of time. Yes, you are handling the data, which is massive, and it needs to be clean. It needs to be in a readable format, in a format that gives you the key numbers and figures. That's one part of it, but inventory is a constant part of it. You're always dealing with the inventory, so that inventory management is another key thing. And like we said, how are you trading it? What are you left with? And if you're left with too much inventory, then it becomes a challenge. And at some point or the other, because there's not 100% sales unless you are a core and a very basic brand offering only like black and white t-shirts, and year on year you will just keep getting sales out of it. And even like for FMCG, I don't think it's 100%. Like they have to ends of range, not ends of ranges. Anything that's expired has to go into a bin and be discounted. So there's constant that inventory management at every level, whether it's the warehouse, whether it's with supply chain. You that is inventory challenges are another one. And I think when we were speaking of the strategies in the beginning, we did say that the consumer preferences, the customer behavior, like right now, like I don't consider myself as a loyal customer to any brand. Like I don't have any preferences. I care about the fabrics that I put on, the kind of retailers I'm buying from, what prices it's sold at. But I'm not a loyal customer to any brand, and I think that's true for most of the people with so much available, multi brands in every. Yeah, so I think that's a challenge. Yeah, because it's difficult to have that kind of loyalty that everybody had.
Yeah, because it is, yeah, it is a challenge for the retailers, because before, if they the customer lifetime value was much higher, because if they just acquire a customer, they would stick on with you for a longer duration of time. Now if you acquire a customer, they may not stick on, or they may not purchase all the things. Yeah, so that's been a challenge for retailers, and that's why the how your how your other launches are, and how relevant your product is, and how relevant your go to market strategy is, right, whether you're selling, there's a change in the customer preference right now in India. People buy most of the things on that quick apps, right? Like they purchase, and it comes
Yeah.
to their house in like 10 minutes. So there are so I just was in an training program, And when they had asked that where did you see this training program the maximum, everybody told that they saw it in those those Zomato, not even Zomato, those quick purchase apps where you get things,
Like
you get
Blinkit,
groceries. in- Which one? The
Blinkit, Zepto.
Yeah. Yes, the Blinkit, yeah, the Blinkit and all of
We don't
that.
have those
So they
versions
saw
here
the
in the
ad.
UK yet. Yeah.
They saw the ad in Blinkit, and these youngsters saw the ad in Blinkit, and they registered from Blinkit and Cred and all of that from the apps. And these apps are not training platforms; they are like quick commerce platforms. But because most of the youth are there in quick commerce and they don't go to the shops, they
Okay.
purchase
Yeah,
their
yeah, yeah.
whatever, their detergent and their salt and everything, whatever they want to, they just blink it. So the ads, the majority told that they come from quick commerce, which was very surprising. So the businesses also have to see where the eyeballs are, because
Yeah.
there's a change in the and then they have to keep constantly understanding how purchases are made, which is like evolving much faster than ever it is right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think,
So
yes, I
instead
think
of
that there would,
even now,
yeah.
even right now, even if instead of thinking, are you there in Amazon or are you there? The first thing the startup brands here think about is that, are you there in this quick commerce?
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there still would be like a handful of those, loyal customers who would still shop from over here, let's say like a Waitrose or a Marks and Spencer or Liberty London for certain items, because there is some something attached to it. They're gaining something out of it. But I feel that young customers with so much in the market, I think, and you will see the same kind of collection everywhere. Like if Zara is doing like a fashion color or a fashion, like if sequence is in fashion, then you will find like sequence options everywhere. On all the high street retailers would have something on offer. So maybe like more driven by price or convenience of shopping, the location. So I think you have to be that becomes a challenge to be in the right place. Like you said, that if it
Yes.
means that being on these Swiggy and Zomato platforms, then being there, at least having your website link there. Um, and then yeah, because of what's the customers only doing this because there is constant growing competition. There are like new players in the market every day, and I think that's an ongoing challenge. Maybe like faced by any industry, not just retail. There would be like more players. Like I think when Apple came out as a smartphone, it was just the leader, like the only one. Now there are lots of brands, like unheard of companies and brands that offer a smartphone, which might have a really good camera. So I think, yeah, the
Right.
competition is also something that you need to like watch out for. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think what other challenges have we faced while working. I remember that in when I was working with Marks and Spencer on the lingerie team, we had a range which was like 100% cotton, and they were bras which were lined with cotton inside. So it was 100% cotton product. And then in one season, we were told that just to maintain the costs of that product, they had to use like a little polyester mixed. So it was like 80% cotton lining with 20% some other fabric. And so I remember giving this feedback because I was in India and I knew the kind of heat that you experience in the country. And polyester actually like changes how your body breathes. So I said that maybe they should like save certain lines, but they said that it's not possible. Like costing had pushed them to create, because here in UK the temperature is quite pleasant even in the summer months. It's not as hot, but in countries like India you need like those breathable fabrics. But I have seen that change happen only because of increasing costs. And I think that's maybe like a constant that happens. The currency um, changes. So if you're buying from another country and you pay in dollars or you pay in pounds, if the costs are done in pounds or dollars and you are based in India, then any fluctuation
That's true.
you'll have to like, yeah, that would be challenging. Then it literally changes the price points that you're offering your product line on. So let's say if you source
Hmm.
black formal shoes from China and you pay in dollars, then any increase or decrease, if it decreases, you get more margin. But if there's any increase, that means that you also have to change your price point. So that is challenging because it
But
hits your top line, it affects your
yeah,
revenue. So yeah,
yeah, the
those
cotton
I've
prices have
seen. Yeah,
tremendously. Yes,
they
been a very
have.
big
Yeah,
issue. Yeah.
yeah. And I think I don't know how much of a challenge retailers see this as, but I think they have at least ascertained that it is important, and that is bringing the whole sustainability angle into it. Especially if you're from fast fashion, um, the impact of your product, um, how it affects the environment has been like a constant conversation. And I feel like some customers, maybe not all, or at least most of them would want to buy products that are ethically produced, sustainable, are kind to the environment, or at least that thought has been put there. So it's not a challenge, but I feel like as we progress, it's just going to become like a bigger conversation. So maybe like for startups, they should, before they bring out a product line, that should be in place so that the customer feels that, okay, yes, I should buy from here because everything is well thought out. I just have to go and make a purchase. Right, to like the shopping bag, like are they selling the product in a plastic bag or a recyclable bag or paper bag? Have they thought about it? I think those are maybe like key things. Not exactly a challenge, but I think like an important thing to be thought of. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, what else are there, Snigdha, about challenges that we had discussed
Um,
about?
I
Mm,
think because now, maybe earlier, retail was only predominantly brick and mortar. Now, this whole concept of
mm-hmm.
different channels, like omni channel, like retail, wholesale,
Mm.
online, and having a kind of a distribution. So, I think maybe that is also a challenge because, yeah, at least that
Yeah,
that question
that's
needs to be
definitely a
addressed. Yeah.
mm, definitely been a how to manage all the and with the from the Blinkit to relatively an older style of e-commerce, which is like Amazon, your website, to your brick and mortar, um, to other strategies, to other channels like we talked about, putting your brand in some other retail, and then having kiosk, or having a store in having a kiosk in an expensive place like airport and all of that. So actually handling all the different channels itself, because things are ever changing, so the channels are also
Yeah.
growing every day, and then the retailers have to keep up with it.
Yeah.
That's been a
I think, yeah, at least like having brick and mortar and then a presence online, I think those are important. So if you start with a physical store, having that online presence is like the next best possible step that they should explore. But yeah, like other things, wholesale distribution and yeah, having a pop-up store in key locations, like you said, kiosks. Yeah, so maybe those are, I don't know if it's again like a challenge or it should just be a part of your expansion strategy. So at least it's tackled.
Yeah, so but the challenge is that the things are changing so fast that there
Yeah.
are new avenues that is coming that the business have to adapt and be very flexible with all the new things, and not be very surprised about it when it has already become a very major trend.
Yeah. So it's almost like you have to see it as a challenge, but it's also like, again, this is also an opportunity to grow your business.
That's
So
true.
if you get this,
It can be converted into an opportunity, yes.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, so I think like systems need to be integrated, inventory has to be managed, presence of your product line or your services on different platforms and channels. That's another part of it. Costs and the impact on environment, I feel going forward will always be a constant that the retailers will try to grapple with. um, yeah, and competition and consumers, which is another like key, which I feel like retailers know, like competitors are always monitored and watched. What are they up to? What gaps are they fulfilling? I think those are maybe more known challenges, and how the customer behavior is, consumer behavior is changing. I think that's another one which is usually looked at as a challenge. But yeah, I
That's true.
think that's pretty much it, Mahesh. Like I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we've
having
covered,
like a
yeah,
lean
most of the things.
supply chain, working with that. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I think we've covered pretty much it. Yeah. So we'll catch up on another day with another topic.
Okay.
So we can close right now.
All right.
Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.